You've tried to make sense of it. You've prayed over it, journaled through it, talked about it with your closest people. And still, the question lingers. Why? Why this? Why me? Why now? Because it doesn't feel purposeful. It doesn't feel like a blessing in disguise. It feels like suffering. Plain, exhausting, relentless suffering. And the faith answer that God has a plan feels thin against the weight of what you're actually carrying. I'm not going to minimize what you're going through. I'm not going to give you a tidy bow or a quick verse that makes the hard thing feel easy. What I want to do instead is show you, from the pages of Scripture and from the testimony of women who have walked through fire, that your suffering is not random. It is not punishment. It is not meaningless. Every painful detail of what you are walking through is qualifying you for something that your calling requires. Romans 5 verse 3 and 4 says, "We also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope." That word produces is intentional. Suffering is productive. It generates something. It builds something. The perseverance you are developing in this season, the muscle of continuing to believe when every circumstance argues against belief, is something you cannot get any other way, and it will be the very thing you need for what God is calling you into next. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned for years. Each layer of suffering added something to Joseph that the palace could not have produced. The slavery taught him servanthood. The false accusation taught him to trust God's justice over human fairness. The prison taught him to interpret dreams, the very skill that would save a nation. Genesis 50, verse 20, gives us the perspective that only hindsight can offer. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. The suffering wasn't incidental to Joseph's story. It was the training program for his assignment. Here is what your specific suffering is specifically qualifying you for. It is qualifying you with authority. There is a difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy says, "I'm sorry you're going through that." Empathy says, "I know what that feels like, and you are not alone." The women God uses most powerfully are not always the most educated, or the most gifted, or the most polished. They are the ones who have been through something and came out with a testimony. Your suffering gives you an authority in someone else's pain that no training can replicate. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4 says, "He comforts us so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." The comfort you receive in your suffering becomes the comfort you carry for someone else. It is qualifying you with capacity. Every hard thing you survive expands your capacity to hold more responsibility, more complexity, more spiritual weight. The woman who has walked through grief, betrayal, illness, loss, and the silence of God and is still standing. She has a capacity that ease could never build. God doesn't give great assignments to small capacity. He builds the capacity first. Your suffering is the expansion process. It is qualifying you with clarity. Hard seasons have a way of burning off everything that doesn't matter and leaving you with absolute clarity about what does, what you believe, what you're called to, what you will not compromise on, what is worth the fight, and what is not. Suffering clarifies purpose in a way that comfort never could, and the clarity you carry out of this season will be one of the most powerful navigational tools you have for the rest of your life. Your suffering has a return. It is not wasted. Not one tear. Not one sleepless night. Not one day of carrying something that felt too heavy. God is a redeemer, which means he takes what was intended for harm and turns it toward purposes that outlast the pain. Psalm 126 verse 5 and 6 promises, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them." The tears are seeds. The harvest is coming. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are being qualified by them. And what is being built in you right now, through every painful, confusing, hard detail of this season, is exactly what the assignment ahead of you will require. Hold on. The qualification process is almost complete. If this message gave purpose to someone's pain, share it with a woman who needs to know her suffering is not random. Subscribe for more biblical encouragement. And remember, God wastes nothing, not even this.